President Trump is expected to sign a resolution this morning blocking California's plan to phase out gas-powered cars by 2035. This comes as GM is investing $4 billion in U.S. production in response to tariffs on imported vehicles and auto parts. Jon McNeill joins us now to discuss all of it. He's the CEO of DVx Ventures, former Tesla president, and current General Motors board member. It's good to have you, Jon. The order on California, we knew this was coming. How big of a deal is it for the automakers?
Hi, Sarah. It's a pretty big deal, and it's something for investors definitely to pay attention to. I think, what they're doing is they're repealing California's what's called a waiver, where California gets to set their own emission standards and their own targets for EV percentages of sales. And 17 states signed up to follow those. And so it has implications beyond California. But probably the big implication for the market is that California got way ahead of the EV demand, and manufacturers were going to be forced to pay fines and buy credits to make up for any deficit in that demand. And what we're going to see now is, I think, a much more rational market. One of the implications of this is that the credits that car makers have had to buy to be compliant, that market is now going to go away. And so you're going to see a much more rational market around EVs. And I think specifically for Tesla investors, there's something to keep an eye on, because more than 100% of Tesla's profits in the first quarter came from selling EV credits.
That's going to be a big headwind.
That's going to be a material impact on Tesla's bottom line for sure.
Does it change anything about the strategy or direction of a company like a GM?
I think, we're on this path of giving the consumer the drivetrain that they want, whether that's an electric drivetrain or a gas drivetrain, and putting really good cars out into the market, and letting the consumer choice win. And so on both sides of that aisle, like GM's having a very good first half of the year so far. They're leading in SUVs, they're leading in pickups, and they've just become the number 2 player in the EV market. So they're playing both sides of the propulsion market really, really well. I think the implication here is that although GM may have been a net credit provider to the market, that's not the business we're in. We're not in the business of manufacturing credits for ourselves and getting paid for those. We're in the business of manufacturing cars. And so I think for GM, this is a good step towards a much more rational market.
Jon, what do you think's on the line for the Austin event for Tesla? A lot of reports sort of leaking out about what the city's willing to disclose in the way of what role human caretakers will play, and there's pieces out of Wired about Model Y sort of circling the same route. How do they sort of communicate a message of growth but also do no harm?
I think that's really the heart of the question, Carl, and I'm glad to see Tesla leaning towards safety and do no harm, because these technologies need to win over not only the public but the regulators, and you do that with the safest product that you can have. And so I'm glad to see Tesla being conservative here. They announced that over the next few days, rather than launching robotaxis, they're going to delay that launch and make sure that they're really, really ready on the routes that they've planned. And I think having human operators in the background isn't a bug; it's actually a feature. And the autonomous industry has been shy about this, I think, for too long. But as a passenger in these cars, I like to know that there's a human that can help the car get out of a jam. And we all know that this technology is not perfect. So having human operators in the background is a good thing, I think, not a bad thing. It's a feature, not a bug.